So I am ready whenever you are.
Technology is one of the detection and operation of sex trafficking in the United States.
Everyone nowadays has access to social media, and because of this, it's easier to traffic victims rather than traditional methods. Back in the older days, before social media was a big thing, people used methods such as in-person recruitment, grooming, or even kidnapping. According to our source, Alyssa Twinkler, who is a credible source because she completed her Doctor of Philosophy at Abraham S. Fletcher College Justice, and she has an academic background of victimization, sexual exploitation, and the role of social media in human trafficking. She states how every state in the United States is affected by online trafficking. This picture that we got from public domain shows how hackers use face to show that they can just hide behind screens to traffic victims online.
So for our first solution, we thought that facial recognition would suit. With this, children can be limited to the platforms that they can access, which in turn limits the access of predators to children. Tom Savanet, an editor from technology coverage for the Wisconsin Post in San Francisco, says in an article about facial recognition affecting trafficking victims that using Amazon's facial recognition technology, Spotlight quickly returned a list of online sex ads. So this is an example of young girls being used online and how AI can help resolve the problems of exploiting children and just overall solving the issue of being using facial.
Okay, limitation number 1, weak security. Reasons why facial recognition would not work is because it cannot accurately guess your age. Some people seem older or younger than they actually are. So a prime example of looking older or younger than you actually are on a social media platform is an app called Roblox. On Roblox, you can use your face and it identifies you as younger or older, and you can look younger than you actually are, which is a way that predators use to communicate with children online. Another reason is people can take advantage of AI assistance. Because it is facial recognition, some predators can take advantage of AI and use AI in order to traffic victims. There's no way of truly knowing how old someone is on a social media platform because they can simply just lie about their age. This means that children who are underage can still access social media platforms. This puts children at risk and increases their exposure to online predators. And because they are so young, it makes them easier to be manipulated and trafficked. This source is credible because Brandon Quimtel is an SEO digital marketing specialist, and he's published by Thompson Recruiter's Law Blog.
So for our first implication is that significantly less children will be at risk if there's facial recognition systems in place to keep children off social media platforms. With this, children will be less likely to be in contact with adults online, and people will come together to create this system, bringing more awareness to the issue of sex trafficking. In an article by Rena Chandran, a second-in-command publisher for Thomson Reuters Foundation, it states that governments online are requiring social medias to check the age of young users. So this helps people to understand that we do need to limit children from being online and on social platforms because they are at risk for potentially being sex trafficked or just being exploited to adults online. And it also shows the government where predators are online, like their websites that they use mostly and things like that.
So for our second solution, we came up with AI systems. AI technology has advanced systems that have the ability to detect many suspicious activities and patterns in less time than it would take humans to detect these activities and patterns. ACAMS is a large global organization focused on fighting financial crime that talks about applications that help with this issue, such as investigative enhancements. Through these enhancements, AI can go through massive amounts of transactional and financial data to identify patterns normal systems cannot. Traffickers tend to get a hold of their victims' bank accounts as a form of exploitation. AI can detect unusual activity like logins from a new location, sudden spending charges, and strange withdrawals to flag these accounts. AI is also being used to create training programs for law enforcement. Through these training programs, law enforcement will be taught what kind of suspicious activity to look for when looking for sex traffickers. AI can be used to scan news data, legal documents, and social media platforms to locate and find people or groups that are connected to sex trafficking. Another type of AI application being used to flag suspicious activity is non-traditional intelligence. With this kind of intelligence, information from sources that are not typically used for investigations can collect information from sources that are not typically used for investigations. This can provide them with more information about sex trafficking to help them better understand the problem. This kind of intelligence is important because it helps investigators to better understand who is involved, what is happening, when and why it is happening, and where it is happening. Non-traditional intelligence collects information like names, nicknames, contact details, and addresses. AI tools analyze this information to give a better understanding of the situation that law enforcement is working with. Facial recognition is another tool that comes from AI and benefits both victims and law enforcement combating sex trafficking. Clearview AI is a facial recognition technology company that works with law enforcement to identify suspects and victims. Clearview AI uses facial recognition to study photos online in websites, ads, and social media platforms. This AI system compares a potential victim's facial features to large databases to find matches. This helps identify victims when traffickers hide the victims' identities. When a victim is put on an online ad, investigators can use facial recognition to not only locate and identify the victim, but also the perpetrator. This image is an image by public domain that represents how AI can be used to identify suspicious activity on messages.
Okay, so AI detection and victim identification can be effective, but it also has limitations. According to our rescue, an anti-trafficking organization that references research from groups like the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, traffickers adapt fast by using encrypted messages, burner accounts, and constantly chasing online tactics, which makes it harder for AI systems to stay accurate. Second, there is risk of errors. Our rescue explains that AI systems are designed to flag suspicious patterns for human review, and they also reference the Polaris project, which reports that AI-assisted monitoring can help identify trafficking victims, but still require careful review. Finally, AI can weaponize. The same article explains that generative AI has enabled tools like Modify apps and deepfake style content, which creates more ways to exploit victims. Technology has changed how sex trafficking operates in the United States, but it has also changed how trafficking can be detected. Since trafficking increasingly operates online, this creates major implications. First, technology creates more responsibility for online platforms. Computer scientist, researcher Kyle Huffman explains that trafficking patterns can be detected through online data, meaning websites are no longer just passive spaces. They can help identify suspicious behavior and support investigations. Second, technology raises privacy and safety concerns. Professor Felicity Gary, a legal scholar specialized in human trafficking and investigation, explains that tools like AI and online monitoring can uncover trafficking networks faster, but they must be used carefully because they include sensitive information about victims. And finally, technology shows that the need for better resources. At the University of Southern California, information scientist Mayank Kavirwa has developed AI systems that help investigators connect online evidence across platforms. His research shows that advanced tools can strengthen investigations, but only if law enforcement has proper training and advanced technology.
Okay. Let's look at your questions. All right, Genesis. Give one specific way that your thinking changed as a result of learning about Jocelyn's findings.
Okay, so Jocelyn's findings was more on the cultural perspective, and mine was more on the environmental and where the victim grew up in. Her research really showed that in modern days we use a bunch of social media to just be online and communicate with other people, but I didn't see how much we use social media, or how predators use social media to interact with victims, whereas I looked more towards how the victims grew up and how they were like neglected and how they resulted to social media instead of what the predators did to find them.
All right. Yasmin, if you had another team member, what other perspective or limitation could they have researched that would have made a useful contribution to your project?
Another perspective we could have used that could help our project is maybe the historical part of it. This is because AI is recently kind of new, so if we could have had someone have the historical lens, we could see how maybe like in the early stages of technology, how that played out.
Okay. Jocelyn, let's see, reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem that the group identified?
I think the person who had the greatest impact on our overall understanding of the problem was Leilani's. She had a political lens, and she talked a lot about tools that the government already uses to combat sex trafficking, and AI was one of them. And not only her did she talk about AI, but everybody else talked about AI in the essays. So we were able to collect the information we have from AI already and better understand how AI is working to help locate sex traffickers and the victims.
Okay. So Leilani, give one specific way that your thinking changed as a result of looking at Genesis findings.
So my thinking changed resulting to Genesis because in her essay, she was talking more about the environment that like the victims grew up in and like why they would become that way, and like me, like I just focus more on like the political side, and like it made me like think more like about how policy can change and perform.
Okay. All right. Good job.